That's what I love about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a humbling thing. Like, no matter how good you are, one person might get you in a position when, you weren't ready. Like, you're overconfident. And now you
Yeah.
got to, like, take yourself 2 steps back, and be
Yeah.
like, okay, he got me. Then maybe I need more work in this area,
Yep.
Versus, like, obviously you get to that point from a lot of experience. You don't get to that point as a white belt, blue belt.
Yep.
Someone gets you, like, fuck him, I'm going to get him back,
Yep.
Even now, like, you still get that feeling, but that's what I love about jiu-jitsu so much. It's such a problem-solving
100%.
martial art, like, you gotta, like, okay, he's stopping me from passing this way. How can I redirect him and go back to the same place, but with a different approach,
Yeah.
I love that about jiu-jitsu.
What do you think is the biggest differences between training jiu-jitsu for fighting and for sport?
Bro, this is huge, because for me in my whole life, ever since I was, ever since I decided I was gonna fight,
Yeah.
I only did jiu-jitsu for MMA.
Yeah.
I only thought of it as, okay, I need this for MMA.
Yeah.
I never saw jiu-jitsu as its own sport
Yeah.
until I started fighting MMA. And then my brother was like, yo, let's start working on this. Let's start working on guard passing. Let's start working on, a step back sweep, a step back pass, and your Z guard, your reverse de la Hiva. It's like, bro, I never use these.
Yeah.
I would never use them in MMA, because, and
You're going to get hit.
you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. You got to use your jiu-jitsu for MMA versus your jiu-jitsu for sport. It's such a different thing. But it kind of made me have more respect for jiu-jitsu, because it's such an art. There's so many different positions and areas that you have to master to work through, to be skilled enough to a certain degree, you got to have so much knowledge to be like from white belt to blue belt to purple to brown belt. It's like so much knowledge.
Yeah.
And I really like got more respect for jiu-jitsu after that, when I had to like break it down and be like, okay, jiu-jitsu as a sport itself, jiu-jitsu as a sport itself, like, what do I need to do to get better at that,
Right.
Yeah, but my brother, again, fucking legend,
Yeah.
brought me back into that, so I gotta give my brother credit for that.
Absolutely. So is there any advice you give someone that's like, because again, I think it's understanding the difference between those two are super important, knowing the difference between sports jiu-jitsu and like MMA friendly jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give? Like, say someone doesn't have a good coach around and maybe they're just only showing like, how do they start telling the difference? Where's a good way for them to get insight? Like, what would you say made it more clear for you?
What the
Sparring
standout
MMA.
clear thing was getting punched in the head.
Yep.
Getting punched right in the nose. Realize right away maybe De La Hiva is not the best one for MMA.
Yep.
Obviously, it can still work, but punches to the head. Jiu-jitsu traditionally was a self-defense martial art, so there's a lot of like self-defense aspects to it. But in the MMA jiu-jitsu, it's more raw. You control different ways. Like, you got to think about controlling and stopping someone from punching you versus like, okay, I just grab an underhook and I'll wait here and try to off balance him and maybe I get underneath or maybe I come back forward,
Yeah.
the kazushis and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
in MMA is different. In MMA you got to be more set, you got to make sure you cover in like little areas so you don't get elbowed in the head, because that shit hurts.
Yeah, it does.
That shit hurts.
Absolutely. And I think it's good for people to know the difference. So I think that sometimes there's a misconception in the jiu-jitsu community that like just sports jiu-jitsu guys are prepared to defend themselves
No,
against
they are
punches and stuff, and they're not.
They're not. Trust
Yeah.
me, like a black belt versus a MMA black belt, two different things.
100%.
I'm not saying one's better than the other, but one will be more equipped for each different scenario.
Yep.
You can't throw a sports jiu-jitsu guy into MMA, and versus like you throw an MMA guy who's a black belt into a jiu-jitsu tournament with gloves.
Yep.
Not one is better than the other.
Yep.
You're just more equipped for different scenarios.
Absolutely.